Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. There is so much that I would love to talk to you about. The headlines just don't stop, do they? We've got alien invasions, we've got chemical spills, we've got who knows what going on by the occupant of the White House. There are concerns about the Chat GPT, about the CBDC, and all of these other things that are just being bombarded, that we're being bombarded with. I am losing my voice a little bit here. Hang on one second. Thank you to my lovely American Jerry, who sent me this beautiful mug in an entire goodie package all the way from Rhode Island. I love, 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 love hearing from Jerry and people like you that are supporting me with your cards, letters, emails, prayers. It really makes a difference. I don't want to talk about those headlines at all. I want to talk about the real tragedy, about why people are addicted to those headlines, obsessed about what is going on, looking for that next hit of cortisol, adrenaline. And it's troubling to me. And I've been digging a little deeper. And I want to share some things with you more from a psychological, emotional, mental, intellectual, spiritual standpoint this evening, because I really need a break from all of this hogwash. I've been doing several videos all about the legal action that I've been involved in. And I did a 7-minute spontaneous premiere live stream for you today because people were asking for some shorter videos. So I'll try to keep this one shorter as well. I do have a sponsor for this video. Thank you for supporting the sponsors who support me. This is how I'm able to bring you these videos day in, day out, all day, every day for free. So let's do this. I'm going to hop right on over and we will go to ketowithpeggy.com. You know about this because you've been using it, telling me about it. And I have a question for you. If you feel like you've been fighting a losing battle against the dreaded holiday weight, even though we're in February now, you'll be glad to know that about 52% of US adults are with you on this. Over half of Americans say that they are trying to lose weight as well. And one of the best ways that I've found to help fight the battle against the dreaded holiday weight is with this amazing keto powder. And you can find it over at ketowithpeggy.com. And what it does is it helps promote elevated levels of ketones, and it can help you take control of your cravings and of your appetite. And it also supports your weight management goals. And just by using 1 scoop a day. So you can help fight the dreaded holiday weight. You can get up to 51% off your order, and you're going to get several free bonuses. I love the free bonuses. You'll also get VIP health coaching for life. And I'd like you to hop on over to ketowithpeggy.com. You want to get that before their half off sale ends. And you can also click in the description box below, just expand that and you'll have a link. The best part is you have 60 days to change your mind if you're not fully satisfied. So I hope that you will order and thank me later. I enjoyed this product and I hope that you will too. Friends, there's something that I find as a great tragedy in terms of what has been going on and what I've been becoming more aware of in these last few years. You probably have been like me and you've been awake and aware and alert and alive for many, many years. Maybe some of you are new to all of the hogwash, and maybe some of you are like me and you've been down that rabbit hole for some time. And I understand that it can be very compelling, very riveting to discover new information, to find out things, to make the connections and say, oh my gosh, I can figure out why these people are doing that and those people are doing this and how they are all bamboozling us. It's very satisfying, I find, to understand what is really going on in terms of all of the hogwashers so that you can rise above it. So I totally get that. What is troubling to me is the heightened level of, I would say, kind of an obsessive compulsive desire of following the headlines of, and I know that I get fatigued by it. Many of you lovely, healthy Americans send me all sorts of links to videos and articles and blog posts and Substacks. By the way, I hope that you will subscribe to my Substack, which is a free type of blog. And that is where I have deep dives in a written format. And I send those out, a couple times a week. I also have a free newsletter, which is more about events. And I have links to the recent videos I did, calls to action, that sort of thing. So I have lots of ways that you can stay in touch, but I really guard against against the obsessive compulsive nature. And how do you know when it becomes an obsession? Well, when you are ignoring your family, when you're neglecting your health. Let me know in a comment what you think is an indicator of when someone crosses the line in terms of being informed and being obsessed. There are those of you like me that don't like to give up, that you want to dig deeper, that you want to be on top of everything, you want to be informed. So I am all in favor. But here's where I draw the line. If you are staying up at till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know you are because you're emailing me then. And I know every once in a while I might be emailing you then too, but that's the difference. It's every once in a while. So if it is a pattern where you find that you are neglecting your loved ones, you are neglecting yourself, you're neglecting your health, you're not taking care of normal household duties like doing the laundry, doing grocery shopping, spending time with your pets, doing the housekeeping, taking care of other paperwork or bookkeeping or whatever it is you need to do, your exercise, your time for yourself, you are playing right into the hands of the enemy. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to fatigue you. They want to psychologically drain you. They want to strip from you your joy in living life. So I am so curious about this. And I love to read. That is one thing that I do and that I've always done my entire life. And I love to write. I've always kept journals all my life, and reading and writing go hand in hand for me. But I would have to say that reading and thinking are even more important than writing and thinking are even more important to me than reading, because when I'm reading somebody else's ideas, their thoughts, their insights, which has a place, but not if it's going to block out your own discernment, your own ability to make these connections, your own time to think. So what and I know you're listening to me right now, and I do love our get-togethers, but I am so interested in making sure that we all have healthy boundaries when it comes down to how much time we are spending on all of the events, all of the hogwashing. I mean, we've got aliens, we've got balloons, we've got chemical spills, we've got chicken factories going up in flames. Fill in the blank. We've got, the technocracy coming after us. We've got AI. We've got all of the transhumanism, and then the transgenderism, and the climate emergencies, and the gender emergencies, and the energy emergencies. It's enough to make your head spin. And that's exactly the powers that shouldn't be. That's exactly their desire. So let me just frame it like this. I think it's very important that we each spend a lot of time thinking and discerning, asking our own self questions, because when we pose a question, it's easier for our mind to answer, and to consider what is really driving our behavior. Are we falling into that spin cycle? Are we crossing that line from being interested in something to being obsessed about it, to being informed, to being compelled? Like, I can't go to sleep unless I have every headline and watch every station. And of course, I don't watch the news and read every blog and so forth. It is going to strip you of your joy of living. Now, let's get down to the actual real tragedy that I think is driving all of this. People will say that, and I agree with them, that the reason why many people have complied with all of the illegal, immoral, unthinkable, ridiculous, absurd measures over these last few years. Yes, we are in year 4, starting year 4, believe it or not, in the next month, at least here in California, the first state to shut down. I never use the word lockdown because I have a key, and that's prison language. And I don't like that language that they're sloshing all over us. So when all of this started, you probably were like me, and you thought, well, I'm not surprised that the government is trying to bamboozle and hoodwink and snooker us into all of this compliance, but I'm astonished that my fellow human beings are going along with it so easily, not even easily, but like eagerly, giddily, excitedly, willingly. They were first in line to suffocate themselves and pull their kids out of school without even a second thought, without even asking, hey, wait a minute, is this the right thing to do? And if it is the right thing to do I have to do it? And if I have to do it, is there a law that makes me do it? And if I don't do it, what is the penalty? Is there like a penal code? People did not understand their rights, the laws, what they had to do. And I agree that people were driven by fear. But what drives the fear? This is the real tragedy. And this is what I want to talk about in these next few minutes. I'm one of those people that likes to take time for reflection. And what I mean by that is I like to continually grow and expand and develop. I like to develop my thinking. I like to develop my intellectual abilities. I like to develop my prayer life. I like to develop my social circle. I like to develop my skills. I like to continue to grow. And one of the ways that I do that is I like to reflect. I'm not a person that spends 100% of my time looking in the rearview mirror. I look in the rearview mirror a little bit, just like when I'm driving, to make sure I'm on the right path. And I like to look back at my choices, my actions, my decisions, my regrets, my accomplishments, my achievements, my setbacks, my successes, my trials, my triumphs, all of that, because it informs me going forward. One of the things I believe a lot of people like to gloss over and deny, hang on, this might get a little heavy, that they may want to deny, or let's make sure, okay, that my sound is good, right? Sometimes I get texts from people saying, I can't hear you. I'm doing the best I can, friends. I got a brand new microphone. I have a new camera. I'm trying to update all of this because that's one of the things I like to do as well, is continue to grow and improve. My very first video that I did on YouTube, I was just in my kitchen. I was just using my computer camera. I had no microphone, just on my computer. I didn't rehearse anything. I didn't have any notes. I didn't have any lighting. I just had truth to share. So the truth to me is far more important than any background or lighting. I mean, I don't look like one of those podcasters that you see on YouTube with all of the official lighting and the camera and all. It's just me. And I just like to focus on the message more than all of the other stuff. So the point that I'm getting to here is, I believe that the reason why a lot of people live in fear is because they had deficits in their childhood. They did not get the approval, the validation, the encouragement, the assurance, the love, the attention, the tenderness, the care, the concern that they needed. And I'm not talking about people that you don't have to have lived in a family where there were alcoholics and abuse and divorce and multiple spouses or boyfriends or girlfriends or what have you. You don't have to have been born to a mother that was a drug addict. You could have been brought up in a family where there was one mom and one dad, a traditional family. You may have gone to church. You may have even gone to a public school, a private school. You may have been homeschooled. You may have had all of the so-called privileges, and I don't even like that word, opportunities of classes and sports and everything else that you might think of, going on trips and vacations. You may not have had money issues in your family. You may have had that. We all have our own stories, our own situations, but I believe that something is very, 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 very widespread, is that many people did not get the emotional nourishment that they needed in childhood. And the reason why I mention this is because those years are so formative. And that's why the powers that shouldn't be are so intent on getting their hands on our children, because they want to influence them. And that's why public schools are so important in terms of shaping and forming children, and what they're teaching them now in the public schools is just abhorrent. So when we think about a child that may not have had, and maybe that's you, maybe that's me, that didn't have the amount of necessary attention and care and support and encouragement. We may have had words and phrases. Maybe they weren't even spoken. It was just something that we picked up on, that, oh, you'll never amount to anything. And who do you think you are? And, well, listen to your teacher. Teacher knows best. Or the doctor says, and, listen and follow authority. So people are brought up fearing authority. They should be fearing God. And by that, I mean, revering God, and not having a strong sense of their own self, which comes from God. So one's upbringing, I believe, has led to this inability to stand up for yourself. I've seen it again and again and again and again. People that say to me, people that are in the freedom fight saying, well, it's just too much of a hassle. They made me. I had to do this for my job. I didn't want to get the jab, but I had to. Or they'll say that their grown child had to do it, or that they're grown, fill in the blank. There are a lot of justifications that are going on there, but they all go back to this basic point that people do not stand up for themselves. They do not fight against authority. I don't even think it's out of fear. I think it's out of wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted, because they didn't get that unconditional love, acceptance, approval, and appreciation from their parents. They may not have gotten it in school or from their boss or in society at large. So it is such a tragedy to me to think that that is the result that we are seeing today. That the other thing is that if children did not get that unconditional love, attention, care, tenderness, concern, approval, acceptance, validation from their parents, they may have turned it onto themselves thinking, well, I must not be good enough if my parents aren't loving me the way that I need it, because they're my parents and they're older and they're supposed to take care of me and protect me. Therefore, there must be something wrong with me because it couldn't be them. And friends, this is probably very unconscious. I think it's very rare that people will take the time to peel back these layers of some of these harms that they experienced, especially, again, if they were not abused or beaten or coming from a home that looked, from the outset that everything was great. So in some ways, it's even harder for those adults now to look back and say, yeah, that may have shaped me in ways that I didn't realize. Children that were spanked, children that had some type of corporal punishment, those harms never go away. Believing that you have to adhere to authority. And of course, as a young child, you have to. How else are you going to survive? But we're not children now. We have the right to stand up, to speak up, to stand up for ourselves, even if you don't know how. I didn't know how. I had to figure it out. I was starting as a blank slate at the beginning of all this hogwash, just like you were. But I knew in my conscience that this was not right, that no one had the authority to tell me that I didn't have the right to breathe. But how many people went along with that? And saying I didn't know how to stand up it's not an excuse for me. I didn't know either. But I rolled up my sleeves. I did the research, I dived in, and that's why I started the Healthy American, to help encourage others to be able to stand strong. But even with all of the information, with my years of research, with my thousands of hours of videos, my thousands of hours of research into creating documents to help people understand about a store doesn't have the right to kick you out because you're breathing oxygen. Even then, people wouldn't take the materials and stand up for themselves. Why? Because they don't believe that they are worthy. They believe that someone else has power over them, just like their parents did. And they never learned to stand up for themselves. It is the greatest tragedy on earth that this is how these hogwashers have been able to manipulate people. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it with all these headlines. What is the remedy here, friends? I would like to know. I would love it if people would think about areas in their life where there are still unresolved issues. If people are procrastinating on taking action in areas of their life that are important, if people are constantly running late, if they're not fulfilling their promises to themselves and to others, if they are struggling with alcohol, with drugs, with other addictions, with this addiction of being addicted to the headlines, of maybe, like I say, staying up too late, maybe promiscuity, other areas of life where you find that you are struggling, that is the sign of unresolved issues. All of these health problems many times can be directly related back to these emotional harms, emotional hurts that were never resolved. If you are interested in getting my help or even getting Pastor David's help on this, Pastor David has who's my husband, he has a YouTube channel called True Hope with Pastor David, and he does a True Hope Tuesday where he provides spiritual support, pastoral counseling. I have another YouTube channel called Living Swell with Peggy Hall. I talk about these things. I talk about this week and last week, we talked about how to overcome procrastination. Previously, I spoke about how to improve your confidence. I've got topics about boundaries and emotional healing and elevating your life, your physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health, so that these hogwashers can't trample you down. Because friends, they are never going to stop. There's going to be another emergency and then another one after that. California has about a dozen emergencies that we are still in. And people are always asking, Peggy, how can we get rid of the UN's power? Those aren't the questions. The questions for me include, how can I live in liberty, even with the UN controlling the United States government? How can I live in liberty, even with the balloons and the chemical spills and the chicken factories going up in fire? How can I maintain my own dignity and integrity? How can I find people, family members, my own new family members that I create with friends? How can I maintain those relationships? How can I keep myself healthy in mind, body, and spirit so that I can be able to stand strong and overcome these other struggles and tragedies that are happening all around us? That is the question. How can you protect yourself? How can you give yourself that love, approval, validation, understanding, compassion, and empathy that you might have missed as a child, or that you might still be desiring now? I saw a woman recently, and something about her, the way that she was dressed, and I know there are many lovely, healthy Americans of all creeds, backgrounds, ages, appearances, and so forth. But the way this woman exuded this energy of, look at me, see me, I matter, I exist. She didn't even say those words. And we were at a restaurant, she was a table away, and the way she carried herself, the way she appeared, I could just pick up on that vibe. Let me know if you've ever seen that either. And my heart went out to her. I remember another time I was at a gas station, and there was a car in front of me that had all these just vile bumper stickers exuding hate, and the car had painted messages on it. And the person, this fellow, looked very threatening and scary to me. His entire body was covered with tattoos and piercings, and he had the spiked hair and the torn, tattered clothing. And all I saw after the first moment of, this looks a little scary, I saw a battered individual, as Pastor David says, someone who has been broken by the evil of the world. That was his message to the world, was a big old F you, don't even come close. And I can only trace that back, without even knowing the person, to the harms, the neglect, the abuse that he likely suffered in childhood. Those things just don't fade away. And the saddest part of all is children will often try to explain away, like, oh, it was good that I was spanked. Yeah, that made me, it was good that I was punished for this or that. Really? A defenseless child? You're using physical violence against a defenseless child that is smaller than you, that doesn't have the intellectual capacity to even understand what you're doing? If it worked, why would you have to keep doing it? And if it worked, why don't we just beat up people now? Why don't I just go in and slap the board of supervisors? No, we don't do that because it's not acceptable. So the point that I want to leave with you is this, my friends. There are deeper reasons why people are wounded, and why they are not standing up for themselves, why they are complying, why they are so given over to fear. And I've been doing my videos where I'm telling you these visions that I'm holding of acceptance, of forgiveness, of those that have harmed us coming to us, like this board of supervisors and others coming to us and saying, I'm sorry, I apologize, you were right and I was wrong. Now listen, they don't even have to say that to you. You can still hold that vision. And again, if you want to go into this deeper, I do a lot of this on my other channel, which is Living Swell with Peggy Hall. It's, again, you can just subscribe. I do a weekly video there, and I will be offering more classes separately and also with my husband, because so many of you are asking for emotional healing, for healing broken relationships, for trying to navigate life now where you've got friends and family that you don't even recognize, that you don't even understand. You don't know how to have these conversations. I have a great video called How to Have Hard Conversations, and that will get you started as well. That's also on this channel. So going forward, friends, take a break from the spin. Take a break from the headlines, as I'm doing this evening. I'm not going to be talking about the chicken farms and the UFOs and the all that other stuff at this moment. There will be a time for that coming soon. But think about this evening, taking time for yourself, taking time to think. Maybe go for a walk, turn off YouTube, turn off your computer, turn off your cell phone, turn off the headlines, turn off the music. Just think. Let your mind go. Think and pray. So many people turn to the government, turn to their colleagues, turn to their employer as a way of getting approval, validation, unconditional love. I turn to my Creator. You were created by a God who loves you, who created you as his masterpiece. I do not claim to understand all of the mysteries of life, but I do have a strong faith when it comes to, I know I was created by a God who loves me, who created me and you with special gifts to share. And it is my hope and prayer that you and those around you are going to find the confidence and the courage to share those gifts as intended. Let's not waste our time, our energy, our life essence on insignificant things that we cannot control. Let's take back our power. Let's find something to look forward to. I love having you here on board with me. I look forward to our get-togethers, and I really appreciate you being on board, especially with this video, which was a little bit different than my typical ones. Thank you for sharing it. And if you haven't subscribed, for heaven's sakes, please do. It helps that YouTube algorithm. So I will let you know. I'm not sure if I'm going to hop back on for a second live stream or not. I'm trying to get with my attorney so she can also bring you updates in terms of what we are doing with our legal action. It's coming down to the wire. I've got several updated videos for you on that. So I'll be signing off now, friends. And Alex, I just want to read a couple of comments. Alex says, I wonder if enough people turned off the news, they would start to wonder what to do. That's the other thing. People don't know what to do with their free time. Even children these days have every moment scheduled. Playtime, free time. Oh my gosh, I did come across a video of a woman showing her little 2-year-old getting himself dressed in the morning, setting his own table for breakfast. She had all the bowls and the spoons and the placemat in the lower drawer so the little 2-year-old could get it. He would clean up his dishes. He couldn't reach the sink, but he would put them on the counter, and how he was so involved in the daily routine of the family. That is the exact type of attention and care and encouragement that kids need these days. And there was ample time for free play. And that's something that homeschooling also can offer your children. They do not need a regimented type of system like they have in the public and even in the private schools. Marina Meadows, I love it. She says, broken but courageous. Oh, I love that phrase. Christy says, relational trauma leaves terrible scars that people refuse to see. It just came to me putting those pieces together that yes, we see people living in fear, but what drives the fear? Fear of abandonment, fear that they're going to be hit again by their parent, fear that they're going to be betrayed, fear that they're not going to be seen. And now they're trying to get that validation from society. How many people put on the suffocation devices because they were afraid of what others were going to think? for some reason, God has protected me from that fear. I actually don't care what people think. I think that's why it makes me a perfect YouTuber, because you know what? Bring on the comments, bring on the naysayers. I prefer the yaysayers, but bring them on. I am just impervious to that. I only care about what God thinks, and I care about what I think, and I care about if I am upholding the truth, if I'm learning. And trust me, I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm sure that I'll make plenty more. And that is how we learn and grow. So signing off for now, friends. I can't wait to read the rest of your comments, and I will be back with you very soon in an upcoming broadcast. Please be sure that you do sign up for the free Substack, and you can pass that around. It's very easy because it's the written comments of several of the videos, and it's my analysis of the news. And that way we can roll up our sleeves, dig deeper, and outsmart these hogwashers. I like to say that we outwit the nitwits. All right.